Welcome to the Writers Weekly podcast, a forum geared toward the writing enthusiast and those who want to make money from their writing. I'm Brian Whidden, managing editor of Writers Weekly, and I'll be your host along with Angela Hoy, the creator of Writers Weekly and president and CEO of BookLocker.com, a full-service book publishing company. Whether you want to learn how to become a professional writer, how to find writing gigs, or even publish your own book, then you come to the right place. We'll be discussing all kinds of topics relating to the writing and publishing industries. Don't forget, you can also click over to WritersWeekly.com. There, you'll find not only thousands of articles about professional writing, you can also find current paying markets and job listings to help you boost your writing career and even your bottom line. But for now, let's get on to this episode of the Writers Weekly podcast. Hi, everyone. Before we get to this episode, we need to make clear we are interviewing a doctor today, and he is going to be talking about some alternative types of medicine. Although he is a doctor, he is not your doctor, and just like lawyers, we can't make any claims to know anything about the medical world or medicines in which you put your body. So before you take any of the advice that this doctor, who is reputable, gives, you do want to do your own research, and any decisions that you make are your own on what you put into your body or in ways that you treat yourself. We cannot be held liable for giving you any of this advice. This is all just for informational purposes. Now on to the show. And welcome again to another episode of the Writers Weekly podcast. I am your host, Brian Whidden. I'm the managing editor of Writers Weekly. And with me, as usual, is Angela Hoy, the founder of Writers Weekly and president and CEO of BookLocker.com.
Big show today, so I'm not going to make any jokes or sing any songs.
We are stoked today. We're going to get right into it because we've got a guest on that we're really excited about because he's into something we're into. So, hey, let's go. All right. You've likely heard the word prepper at some time or another. It's a title used either reverently or mockingly, depending on your own beliefs concerning the fragility of our civil society and likely your political leanings. What we call prepping today was simply a way of life many years back when there wasn't electricity, motorized vehicles, computers, commercial scale food production, emergency medical systems, large hospitals, antibiotics, and miracle drugs. People had to rely on what they had available to them, their own skills, and their knowledge. And most recently, with the COVID lockdowns and supply chain issues, people were given a dose of reality, and the systems that supply us with every need and desire at a moment's notice were not infallible. And politicians can and will use scary circumstances to declare an emergency, then strip Americans of their rights and ability to live a comfortable and convenient lifestyle. Hurricane Helene last year demonstrated that we can't even trust the government bureaucrats to perform the exact job they're assigned to perform. As in this case, FEMA, which spent more time and effort trying to keep Good Samaritans from coming in and helping affected areas than they actually did trying to help those areas recover themselves. And we also learned that a FEMA supervisor instructed her subordinates to avoid houses that had Trump signs in the yards. So not only are government agencies proving to be inefficient and inept, the people within them are proving to be downright discriminatory. If a cyber attack took down our electrical grid, how would your life change? What if a very large storm ripped through your part of the world and no one could get in for days or weeks? What if a real pandemic devastated the population so badly that government, the supply chain, and basic municipal services simply ground to a halt? Now, on top of that, what if you had a medical problem? No hospital, no urgent care, no WebMD, and no doctor around. Well, our guest today has addressed that very issue, and he's the author of 3 books here at Book Locker. His latest book, Infected: Secrets from the Medical Underground. Another book titled The Bible of Alternative Medicine. And the book we're going to focus on today, which was his first book, called The Doomsday Book of Medicine, which really grabs your attention.
I know. It's a great title. Great title.
Okay, our guest today is actually a doctor, so he's not just some guy giving you his best opinion based on all his prepping experience.
Mm-hmm.
He went to tell me if I'm pronouncing it, Fairleigh Dickinson University?
Yes.
Okay. Where he did his undergrad with a degree in biology. He went to medical school in Italy and graduated from the University of Padua, the oldest medical school in the world. He started as a surgical resident in McKeesport, Pennsylvania for 1 year and went on to an internal medicine residency at UMDNJ, which is the University of Medicine and Dentistry in New Jersey, and then ultimately finished his residency in St. Vincent's in Worcester, Massachusetts.
Worcester, yeah.
Yeah, Worcester. Yeah.
Sorry,
Worcester,
I'm a Southern boy. I don't know them. I know them Yankee terms.
Lived in Massachusetts for a year. I forgot there wasn't an R in the middle of Worcester. Yeah.
I called it Worcester before I moved there.
Yeah, I did too.
Since 1988, he's been in private practice in Connecticut. He's triple board certified in internal medicine, bariatrics, and geriatrics. He worked as an ER doctor, a prison doctor, a town doctor for some Connecticut towns. He was an assistant state medical examiner, ran a 1,200-bed facility for the mentally impaired, and he's currently the director of an 88-bed nursing home. He's basically done it all. I don't think he needs any more credentials to tell us something about medical emergencies.
What haven't you done?
Dr. Ralph LaGuardia. Dr. Ralph LaGuardia, thank you for joining us on the Writers Weekly podcast.
Thank you for having me.
We are glad to have you. The first thing that blew me away when I saw this book was the page count. I'm like,
it's incredible.
How am I going to review this thing?
Yeah.
You wrote 774 pages on what to do when there is no doctor available. And that's, you basically sent me a little bio explaining what all the studying you've done besides your regular medical stuff to learn these alternative medicines and what to do if there is no doctor around, so how people can treat themselves.
I'd like to know, how did you become interested in alternative medicines and prepping?
Well, my mother, believe it or not, who was a high school dropout, but was very intelligent, just circumstances she had to drop out. But she was interested in alternative medicine in the 60s and started reading Prevention magazine. And so I grew up with that magazine laying around my house, and she would always. That
magazine is still in print today.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Incredible.
And then I in college and high school and college, I started reading alternative stuff. I started reading Linus Pauling's work. That was my most influential one, Linus Pauling, Vitamin C and Cancer. That blew me away. And then through medical school, I was reading stuff as well. Since medical school, I've spent the last 40 years, I've probably read 10,000 books on alternative medicine. Wow. I read them constantly. I read probably 1 or 2 a week, but and some of them are complete garbage. Some of them are great. It's just like anything else. There's a lot of nonsense. A lot of people write stupid things. One guy was, you drink your own urine. I'm like, give me a break. No matter how healthy. Right. No matter how healthy that is, I'm not doing it no matter what.
Yeah.
And so. Yeah. And then when when I was in my residency, I was shocked because I kept bringing up things to the chief resident and the attending physicians. Why don't we give them a little vitamin C or something to boost their immune system? Why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? And they shut me down every time. Like, we don't do that. I'm like, but why? We're all offense, no defense. Why can't we boost their immune system rather than just attacking things, or do both? And I thought that was a very potent model. And I was very disillusioned. I couldn't believe that this stuff was not everywhere. I thought for sure, this is now when I'm going to learn this stuff. They're going to come on and go, yes, this is what we can do. There was none of that. And so that started my quest on my own. I said, I've got to educate myself about this because clearly no one's going to teach me this. And that's led me to where I am today.
I have a question. So I've met doctors who are all for the holistic approach to everything that they could be. And I've met doctors that were completely against any holistic whatsoever. So when you were in school, you were encountering the same two different sides, or was it mostly at that time? I won't age you by asking what year. Was it mostly the traditional medicine and they didn't want to hear about anything else?
Yes, exactly. That's all it was. There was no alternative. They didn't want to. Whenever I brought it up, I was immediately shut down as, you're an intern or you're a resident. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. Shut up.
Hear from you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so disappointing.
Oh, even now, I go to medical meetings with my wife, and I'll sit through the whole meeting, and then I'll get up at the end and give my opinion on something, and they're very polite, but there's crickets, and my wife says, they don't know what you're talking about.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's but you'd think they would be curious. I mean, just even now, with there's all these cancer treatments using ivermectin and fenbendazole and menbendazole, and it's really working great. You'd think if I was an oncologist, I would be all over this. I would say, tell me more. I want to hear about this, and it's just the opposite. They get mad at their patients and shut them down, and I'm just very disappointed with my colleagues. Not all of them, but the vast majority have no interest in this stuff at all. And a lot of them just never stopped after medical school. They were done in their residency. They just never stopped learning stuff and going on. And which, I did the opposite.
We actually have ivermectin.
Yeah.
We read about it and got our hands on some from a
source.
We had a source. It's an actual pharmacy, and in a not too far from here, and we didn't even need a prescription.
Yeah.
And they filled it for us.
They pop up and then they disappear. So I guess they get crushed. But because at various times I've photocopied the names of pharmacies to give it to patients for ivermectin, and they're like, nope, it's gone. It's not there anymore. I'm like, shit.
I think they move around a lot because they're just one step ahead of the law that I don't think exists yet. Yeah.
Right. Well, hopefully with Kennedy in there now, he's really shaking things up. I mean, things will change.
I've always been a fan of him.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see things open up to.
Yeah, I don't like some of the things he does, but I like the medical stuff he does. Is great.
Well, he's kind of a nut job in some
right
aspects, but then other places he really makes a lot of sense. So,
right, and with the medical stuff, it makes a lot of sense. And here he is at these congressional hearings, and they're giving him, the Democrats are eating him alive over. He's saying, really? Do you really want heavy metals in baby food? Is that something controversial? Yeah. I mean, why would you be for that? There's 3,300 chemicals that are banned in Europe that we have here. Why? I mean, it's just common sense stuff. Listen to the guy. You don't have to love him, but he's making a lot of sense. He's trying to clean up the vaccinations and everything.
Speaking of vaccinations, I have something to say. I had not heard about his work until one of our kids has a vaccine injury. Developed severe OCD at the age of 4 years old from the chickenpox vaccine. And that's when I took my ride down holistic medicine and did a lot of research, not articles on the internet, actual scientific studies. And that led into buying specific medicines, vitamins, and researching holistic ways to treat things instead of injecting chemicals into your body.
Yeah.
Right. Right. What's the downside? I'm basically, I'm what's called a functional medicine doctor. I didn't even know what that was until a few years ago because there was really no title for it. People say, what do you do? I said, well, I kind of describe what I do. But in reality, that's what it is. I see how things function properly, and I provide the body with all the nutrients it needs to produce the chemicals it needs normally to function well. And you can eliminate the vast majority of diseases by doing that. Providing your body is an unbelievably beautifully balanced, perfect machine. I've been studying it my whole life, and I still am blown away by it. The intricacy of it and the balance of it and the redundancy of backup systems to help itself. And why not nurture that stuff?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna try to put this train on a track here for a minute. And so what you were talking about, Doc, what we consider medical treatment today is all these uses of chemicals and techniques and things that aren't necessarily natural to the human body.
Right.
Most of them may help the human body when it needs that help, but they aren't things that are just, that the body was designed to necessarily absorb and take in on a regular basis. And that's all fine and good as long as those things are available to you. So let's talk real briefly, because again, your book is narrow. It narrows down to kind of a niche field, which is what happens when there are no doctors. When there are no doctors, hospitals, anything. Let's talk about real quick when we talk about grid down. What are we talking about? It doesn't necessarily have to be a worldwide or even nationwide catastrophe. It could be local. It can be any number of things.
Yeah, well, I mean, the worst case scenario is an EMP or a coronal mass extrusion event from the sun, which coronal mass extrusion.
EMP
it's just
sun.
Yeah, it's like exactly. It's an EMP from the sun. It happened in the 1800s. It cooked,
fried a bunch of wires.
Yeah, telegraphs exploded. It went and flamed out all over the country, all over the world. So it's not unheard of that this could happen. And certainly, if I was a rogue nation and I wanted to paralyze the West, I mean, what cheapest, better way than an EMP? I mean, my God, you could bring the whole country to its knees. We only have 3 grids. We've got East Coast, West Coast, and Texas.
I didn't know that.
And they're all running off the same material that was originally put up. And some of these transformers, like, it requires months to build one, and they're only built either in China or some European country. So so if we lose one of these big transformers, it's just gone until you can get another one to replace it. Cyber attacks are such an easy thing now. And what if they were able to just shut down all that electricity? Well, your hospitals are going to be functioning maybe at 50% efficiency because there's no computers to log people in to figure out what's going on. That's all your records and stuff just gone. Electricity, doors aren't opening. So just from a physical standpoint, that hospital is not going to be working. Now you got refrigerators dying after a couple days when generator fuel runs out. So that means you got a bunch of medications that are not going to be viable anymore. Eventually that's going to mean your supply chain shuts down. If there's no electricity, there's no fuel pumping. That means there's no trucks running. That means there's no replacement stuff coming in. So, it doesn't have to be World War III nukes hitting all over the US and stuff. It could be just a localized situation that gets out of hand. So when we talk about prepping and why some see it as a bad word, I just wanted to get your opinions on that, about what it is, what it means to you, and why you think there are people that are so against it recently.
Yeah, I never understood the opposition to it. Why would you care if someone else is preparing themselves for a disaster? I mean, what's it to you? It's none of your damn business.
What do you care what I have in my basement? Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think it's just common sense. I mean, my whole life, I think I've had kind of a prepper mentality. I used to read survival books when I was a little kid and stuff, just out of curiosity, I mean, I read them all. I was really into it. And I think it's just, you want to protect your family. You want to be able to provide. I mean, only a fool will think the government's going to help us.
Yeah. I was just going to say, there's one, some people believe in taking care of themselves and their families, and some people assume the government's going to take care of them.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Lots of luck with that one.
And and a lot of people in the government want us to completely rely on them and not be self-sufficient, because that's how they get their power.
Yeah.
Right.
Not long after COVID, I remember reading things where people were pointing at preppers because we weren't sitting in the long lines and fighting each other in the aisles of Walmart for toilet paper.
Right.
And we weren't worried about our grocery store running out of meat. and we weren't worried about, all the, and they're starting to call it. So we're no longer the laughing stock. We're no longer these silly people story. Now we're hoarders.
Yeah.
And because of us, nobody else will have anything because we would. It's like, no, that's not what it's a bit like.
Sounds a little socialism to me.
It really was. It was, and during COVID, Angie and I were living in a big city. We were in St. Petersburg, Florida, and we really felt we were also there for the 2020 BLM uprisings and riots and stuff. Yeah. And we genuinely felt the fear of, and now we had food and medical stuff and stuff stored away, but just you never got a sense of true security and comfort.
Right.
Because you always knew something could go, explode in that city. And then now you're just in danger.
Well, there were riots in St. Pete, and we had our food stores in a storage facility because we lived on a boat, 52-foot sailboat. The streets were shut down by the government, and after Brian had just had surgery, he was stuck on the boat. I took our 2 youngest sons over cover night in the middle of the night and drove to the storage facility and loaded up all of our buckets of food stores and moved them all to the marina and put them all in the boat. Hardly anywhere to move, but I never in my life dreamed that I would have to sneak across town to get my own food.
Yeah,
right.
With my kids, that the government would do
that was a 2-year nightmare.
Yeah, it was.
But what I've always, and I think that's what really gave me because I've kind of like you, I was reading the books early on in life. I was in the Boy Scouts, loved going out in the woods and seeing what I could do here, if I can make this, if I can, and I guess that just kind of born in me that instinct to constantly, but it was, I think, during the COVID and starting to realize that, man, it's like, we really are dependent on a lot of stuff. And I think what prepping is you're weaning yourself off the dependence of things and technologies and reverting back to knowledge and skills. The more knowledge and skill you have, the less stuff you need to make sure that you're going to survive and be safe.
And the more independence you have.
And you have more independence because the more you depend on that stuff, somebody got to make that stuff. Somebody got to let you have that stuff. Right. And if you don't need any of that stuff, and you can be further away from the urban areas, the better off you are when things go ugly.
Better chance you're going to survive.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so in your book, I noticed that you started right out of the gate, not with what you need to put together and stockpile. It was, you talk about healthy living, you talk about fitness, nutrition, preventive measures, and this is unique among prepping advice. So tell me a little bit about what made you decide to go that route.
Well, there are common denominators to health. And when you're a functional medicine doctor, you realize that certain things have to function well. You have to sleep well. You have to get sunlight is key. Being outside in the sun, your body's made for that, despite what these fools dermatologists who tells you get skin cancer. I'll give you an example. In New England, which was originally predominantly Northern Europeans, English, Irish, German, Polish, Russian, they were the vast majority of the immigrants were here until the Italians came in around 1900. But before that, it was all Northern Europeans. There was no skin cancer here. These guys were outside. They looked like Sicilians by the end of the summer.
In the fall,
because they were outside with the seasons. They never got burnt. It's sunburns cause cancer, not the sun. Repeated burns cause it. And that's why office workers have a higher rate of melanoma than construction workers. Huh. I always say to dermatologists, well, how could that be? If the sun is so toxic for everyone. First of all, from a functional medicine point of view, I like to look evolutionary wise. We would have been extinct if the sun killed us.
Well, that's true.
Good point.
Imagine, if no one had sunblock, everyone was outside. I mean, we've populated every area of the earth, including deserts, in spots with brutal 120-degree temperatures and stuff, and people flourish and do just fine. You don't hear about, people breaking out with skin cancer all over Saudi Arabia and Africa and everywhere else. It just doesn't happen and never did. It's a modern phenomenon because of this abnormal lifestyle where we're living indoors all the time. You know what I mean? There's a huge price to pay for that because, you know, there's a combination of things. All the stress of modern life causes cortisol levels to be super high because it's a stress hormone. We get stressed out. In addition to which, there's an interplay between melatonin and cortisol. As in the morning when you wake up, you're supposed to go out and get sunlight. That goes to your pineal gland and shuts down your melatonin as it should. And at the same time, your cortisol peaks at 8 a.m. in the morning usually, and because it's more alert,
pick up your phone and see all the time.
Right. Get all the stress. But and so that interplay is very important, but people ignore it. And as a consequence, strange things happen. I'll give you an example. Nurses who work the night shift have huge levels of breast cancer and other cancers because all night workers, but they just happen to study. Because it's not the shift itself, it's the mess up of their diurnal rhythms. That melatonin and cortisol balance is all thrown off because all night they're exposed to lights that are suppressing their melatonin. You know, and the body reads that as sunlight. You know, it's blue light's coming in, the body shuts things down. And so, as a consequence, melatonin is great for you. I mean, melatonin is a really strong antioxidant. It suppresses cancer. And so those nurses have really high levels, all people that work shifts like that, because they threw their bodies off. That's just one example of how it works. And so I always try to tell patients, and that's why I started the book with that, with your health begins in the soil, first of all. So first of all, you can't be putting pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, everything on your soil and expect to have healthy food. Because the biome, the microbiological life of the soil is the most important thing. That's what breaks down everything and assimilates it and gives it to the plant. And so from there, if you disrupt that right away, you have less nutrients in the plant, and things are and more toxic chemicals that your body has to deal with. So I always say soil health starts in the soil, and then you have to drink fresh water. You know, people have this, they're drinking out of plastic bottles all day. I mean, microplastics and nanoplastics are a nightmare. I mean, I think ultimately that and aluminum are going to cause the downfall of our civilization, just like lead wiped out the Romans. They were drinking out of pewter glasses and stuff, the upper classes of the Romans, and they wound up getting lead poisoning, and they couldn't reproduce. The masses were okay because they weren't drinking; they couldn't afford those vessels. But I think about it all the time. It's the same kind of thing now. Aluminum is unbelievably toxic. There's no biological function for aluminum in your body, and yet we're doused with it all the time. People are drinking out of aluminum cans, even with the linings on. They break down and it leaks aluminum into them. Deodorants, full of actually more antiperspirants than deodorants. Aluminum hydroxide would cause you to stop from absorbing it through your skin or eating it. And aluminum is being deposited in huge amounts, along with microplastics, in testes and in ovaries. And if you look over the last 25 years, sperm counts are down like 80%.
The birth rate's way down too.
Right.
Wow.
Worldwide. It's talk about existential threats. The bullshit that they talk about with climate change is nonsense. The existential threat is aluminum and microplastics because you can't get them out of your body. The average person eats a credit card worth of plastic every week.
Oh my gosh.
Think about that.
Wow.
You know?
Do you just drink out of glasses?
Yes, and I use glass straws. I don't even use plastic straws. Now,
wow.
Yeah, I do. I use glass
I didn't know
straws.
they made glass straws. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
You got some stainless
but they're
steel.
even. Yeah, same. That's fine.
Oh.
It might be aluminum. Be careful. But even in my office, the girls know I have a glass. They have my glass straws, but that being said, I'm still have a huge amount of plastic exposure because everything's processed and wrapped in plastic and comes in. Even I've got my Fiji water right here. Fiji water is the best water on earth for getting rid of aluminum because its silicon content is the highest on the planet. Silicon dioxide binds up aluminum, and you're able to excrete it. And so you can get rid of a lot of aluminum using Fiji water
Let's
out of your
load up on
body.
some Fiji water.
I noticed
Yeah.
it was in a plastic bottle, though.
It is in the
And I was about to say, I know. I wish it came. I
Living-
wish it
living-
came in glass. You know,
Living in today's world, I mean, a lot of it's just a trade-off, isn't it? I mean,
Well, yeah, it's hard to
gotta
avoid it.
Yeah, it is hard to avoid. In fact, we were where we live, and we love where we live, but we've discovered, I guess there's a little issue with the drinking water around here, because there used to be a carpet factory in this area, and I guess they threw a bunch of chemicals out for years and years and years, and they have possibly, because I think it's like in court now, or they're trying to put together
they've had independent testers come out and determine that those chemicals are still in our water and they're not being filtered out by the city. And we bought a water distiller.
Well, and we distill our water. Now I know that removes a lot of, good minerals and stuff that you need in water, but at the same time, it's also.
Yeah, it does. But so all you do is add some sea salt to it, a pinch of sea salt when you drink it, and that'll provide a lot of minerals back to you.
Well, isn't that also replenished with the food that you eat all day long too, or is just
well, it depends.
Salt in there. Yeah.
It used to be, but the foods are so depleted because the soils are depleted once again. So you have to eat 20 apples to get the nutrients that you would get in an apple in 1980. These things are just an example after example of that kind of stuff. And so you have to be careful with it.
That's why it's important to have an organic farm or organic garden.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
I had things like azomite to my soil. Azomite is it's a farm from lake beds in Utah and stuff. And what it has, it stands for minerals for A to Z and trace elements. It has everything.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
and it's cheap. It's cheap. You can buy a 45-pound bag of it. I add it to all my gardens.
Cool.
Now, that being said, every plant doesn't take up every mineral and nutrient in it.
Yeah,
But it provides whatever a plant needs, and so they'll take whatever they need from it. So it's great. It immediately makes your soil, your plants grow really well. And so I use azomite, and there's other things you can add to it and stuff. To fluids, there is stuff that is fulvic acid, not folic, fulvic, FULVIC, and humic acids. What that is in good soils that are not poisoned, that's produced by the microbiological life in the soil. And what it does is that opens up the cells for nutrients to go in. So it's great. It's just a way for them, and so it really increases your nutrition. But everyone's missing it.
Let me ask you a question. Is this information about what you're adding to your own soil in any of the 3 books, or any of your books?
It is in this book. Yes.
It's in both.
Okay.
And let me use what she asked you to kind of segue into this, is that many of the prepping advice sources that you get, they start right away with like in the medical part, the meds that you need to be stockpiling, including antibiotics and stuff. But you actually take a different approach. You tend to want to avoid antibiotics, and you're going into this starting from the ground up, literally. On eating healthy and putting only good stuff into your body, which is going to help you fight off anything that you would need an antibiotic for in the first place.
Right. I've not been on antibiotics in 25 years, and I haven't had a flu shot ever since I'm an adult, other than my residency where they made us.
I bet you don't have any COVID shots either, huh?
Oh, you're kidding? No way. It was, in fact, that was a huge point of contention. They tried to crush me, and the powers that be came to my office, and they had found out. It all started because a patient was in the ER, and she told the ER doctor that I told her not to get vaccinated, and so they called me from the powers that be, and they said, "Well, I'm sure that's not true." And I said, "No, it's true." And they said, "Why would you say?" I would say, "Why would you say that?" I said, "She's 20 years old. She had COVID 3 months ago. She did fine with it, like all 20-year-olds. Yeah. She's pregnant." I said, "Why on God's earth would I vaccinate her?" You know what their response was? "Just to be safe." I said, just to be safe, how do you figure that?
Man.
It's just like the children. I said, are you guys crazy? You're closing swimming pools? Sunlight, chlorine, ultraviolet light, chlorine, and heat. What respiratory virus is going to live through that?
Likes
Any
that.
virus
Yeah,
at all.
exactly. Yeah.
Right. Right. And they were ignoring science. It was the same thing with the vaccine. I said to them initially, I said, COVID's going to become less virulent. And they had infectious disease guys come out and argue with me. I said, well, are you crazy? I said, there's never been a virus in history that's gone to more virulent. It always goes to less virulent because the virus wants market share.
Well,
the virus
once it
has no
kills
interest
off
in
all
killing
its
you.
victims, it dies itself. So it does. It
Right.
has to become less deadly so
Right.
that it can survive in live bodies. Yeah.
And that's what happened with COVID-1, SARS-1, the first one that came out of the Middle East. It had like a 33% mortality. It made people so sick they went to bed, and a third of them died right away. 60% of them over 65. And it was a dead end. The virus stopped. So
Yeah.
I said to them, this virus is going to become more contagious, but less lethal. And they said, no, it's fine. I said, yes, it is. And of course, I've been proven right. It's nothing now. It's like a head cold, and for most people, And I said to them, for children are at zero risk. Why are we vaccinating kids? They're at zero risk. No kids die unless they have such severe asthma that they're going to die anyway of some respiratory thing. They're so impaired. But, the average child was at no risk. And these fools are still pushing. The American Society of Pediatrics just came out this week, still recommending against Secretary Kennedy's advice, and the CDC said we're not vaccinating kids anymore. The American Society of Pediatrics said, yes, we are, but follow the money. They get hundreds of millions of dollars from pharmaceutical companies, and so that's, shame on them.
Well, Angie, Angie and I don't do vaccinations. She has her reasons. I have my reasons, but and
it goes in the family too.
And we have
grandkids also not vaccinated.
We have, and I'm sure everybody in America has experienced this who's taken this stand. We have had friends who have just lambasted us about you're killing people. Oh my God, you're not going to get the COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
And here's what I say to anybody, and because of my choice, I don't judge anybody who wants to run out and go get that crap shoved into their body. That's all fine and good, but think it over. When COVID hit, Donald Trump was in charge. Yeah. Donald Trump said, we're going to hurry up and get a vaccine out as quickly as we can. You watch, it's going to be great, and everybody tripped over each other to jump in front of TV cameras and tell us how Donald Trump's going to kill the whole country because he doesn't know anything about vaccines. Why is he doing it? He wasn't making the vaccine. He was basically directing these pharmaceutical companies to come up with the vaccine.
He was telling what Fauci told him. He didn't know.
Well,
so he was just
exactly. But they couldn't get in front of cameras fast enough to tell us all how horrible this is going to be because Trump came up to it. No sooner did the 2020 election happen and we get Sleepy Joe in place, all of a sudden it's everybody has to get the vaccine. Everybody, you have to get the vaccine because it's going to save you. Well, wait a minute. 6 months ago, you told me it was going to kill me. Now you're telling me I have to take it. I don't even get a choice anymore. You're going to tell me I have to take it.
Yeah.
If you accept that, you're stupid.
That's true.
100% stupid. If you believed 6 months ago, and I'm talking average American, if you believed 6 months ago because of who was president that this vaccine was poison, and then you changed your mind just because of what idiot's sitting in that chair now, you are stupid.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, I tell patients all the time. What I tell patients all the time about vaccines is I said, avoid them as much as you can for your kids. I said, have a party. Someone gets measles, they did that in the 80s. It worked great. Everyone come over the house, catch it. It's a natural immunity. It'll last better with no side effects, no mercury and aluminum. And there's a ton of aluminum in vaccines as well, but they're like scared because even most of my patients still got the COVID vaccine, even though I told them not to, because of circumstances. They wanted to see their grandchildren.
They were forced. Yeah.
Right. Forced to at work. They wanted to see their grandchildren. The kids wouldn't let them come over unless all this craziness, now we're seeing the turbo cancers and all kinds of, it's cancer and miscarriages. The fertility rate has plummeted. It was low and now it's crashed. More women are having miscarriages, and the smart young girls are looking for unvaccinated men. for
Oh,
Look at that.
sperm donors
hey,
because
there's
they
a
don't.
new dating site idea.
That's true. It's
Yeah,
true. It's
really,
right.
really.
Right.
You know, when I grew up in Texas, of course, I'm 58. Everybody got their kids vaccinated for everything back then when there were like, what, 6 vaccines or something like
Right.
that.
Right. Right.
And of course, I was a young mother and I got my kids vaccinated. We moved from Texas to Massachusetts, and it was about time for the kids to go to school. And I took them all to their new pediatrician. And I said, flu shots all around. And she said, we only give flu shots to children who have asthma. And I went, huh. That really
Yeah.
made me think and made me do some research. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
we don't do any vaccines anymore.
Well,
Yeah.
flu is interesting because flu is a vitamin D deficiency, and so that I also blew their minds when I told them this because I threw in during one of my arguments about COVID with the powers that be. They brought the ID guy, the head of infectious disease and internal medicine, in my office for 3 hours. We debated, and they had no response for anything I said. But I threw in at one point, I don't know why, it was a mistake. I said, I've never been vaccinated for flu. They said, your primary care, you're not vaccinated. I said, I've never gotten it either. And I said, explain that. And they said, how could you not have gotten it? I said, because I keep my vitamin D levels high. Not the 30 that Quest Labs tells you. I look for a vitamin D level of 80. And that's the sweet spot. And the other problem people do with vitamin D is they're not aware it's fat soluble. And I have tons of new patients that'll come in and they'll say, I know everything about vitamins, doc. Okay. When do you take your vitamin D? Oh, empty stomach in the morning. It's bad news. If you don't take it with fat, it goes right through you. And that's all vitamins, by the way, except for B and C. The B
So
complex
I need to be taking
and
my
C.
vitamin D with some bacon, basically?
Yes. Or olive oil. Any oils of fat.
Let me ask this real quick. Because you're very heavy on the vitamins and the nutrients that we need. Because we just live in a day and age where the food is crap. It doesn't have the nutritional value that it used to.
That's why you're hungry all the time. Your body knows it too.
Yeah.
Not getting nutrients it needs. And so
are supplemental vitamin pills, are those adequate to get these levels up, or is it are they okay?
Or are there any alternatives to that?
Yeah, well, the alternative always is whole foods are better,
growing your
no matter
own food.
what.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Animal fat, fabulous for you. Fabulous for you.
Yeah.
You'll never get vitamins A, D, E, and K without animal fat, especially vitamin K2. Do you know about K2? K2 is fascinating.
No.
Oh, K2 is one of my babies. K2 is we didn't know about K2, and there was what was his name? He has a Weston Price. He had a foundation. He was a dentist. He traveled around the world. And because he noticed that immigrant children had better teeth than American children, and they had broad smiles, they didn't have overbites, they didn't have crowded, pinched faces and stuff. And he studied it all around the world, and he realized it was of the foods they were eating, traditional foods. But he called it X Factor. He didn't know what it was. It turned out to be vitamin K2. Vitamin K2 is fascinating because we were giving women, for example, with menopause, we were loading them up with calcium for years. So, you got to build your bones, take this calcium, and it was going to the arteries, not their bones. Because we finally discovered that K2 actually moves calcium from your blood vessels to your bones and teeth. So it makes your teeth stronger, your bones stronger, and it cleans out your blood vessels. And so it's a great vitamin. I was talking to a endocrinology fellow from Harvard. He calls up. She's at Mass General and a couple of years ago and talking about something. I asked her about K2, and she said, "What do you mean K2? K1?" I go, "There is no K2." I go, "Yeah, there's K2. Look it up." I said, I was blown away. Here she is, an endocrinology fellow. She had never heard of it. But K2 is key for your health. But if you have to eat all fat, animal fat, and traditionally, it was nose to tail how we ate animals. We ate everything on them, their organs. Now the people eat boneless chicken. No fat stripped off of it. It's terrible. You're taking away all the nutrients.
Are you a hunter?
No,
Oh.
I'm not against hunting. I just, I love shooting. I'm an animal lover. I don't really like killing animals. I would if I had to. And I'm not against people hunting on my property. I let them do it. But it's not my thing.
Well, we've got freezer full of venison.
Well, since we moved up here, we eat
Yeah.
a lot more venison than we do beef. So
Yeah, patients bring me
Helping-
venison all the time.
Yeah, helping to cull the population here. But but Brian, he just leaves enough fat on there, and
eat it. It's the best thing for you. There's more nutrients there than anything else, and people are
plus
afraid
it's
of
the best tasting part.
venison fat isn't nearly,
exactly.
Yeah, venison fat isn't nearly as tasty as beef fat. It's a very strong tasting fat, which is why I usually trim my venison very well. Now, give me a big steak with a big old slab of fat right along the edge of that thing. Oh yeah, I'll go to town on that. But yeah, the venison fat's kind of.
I like the venison fat.
Well,
there's one part of a deer that I refuse to eat.
What was that?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of which part she's told me to. Oh, the oysters?
Yes, I will not eat venison oysters.
Well, you just haven't tried them yet. Okay. So, your book's not just an academic exercise. You have a lot of how-to information, like growing medicinal mushrooms, how to make yeast, water purification, potassium iodide, which is radiation treatment, food fermentation, which is something we learned about at prepper camp, making activated charcoal, making soap, treatment of various injuries and illnesses, and alternative and preventative treatments for various ailments. So
it's an incredible resource.
Yeah.
Well, what I try to do is with every illness, I don't just give you one way to fix it, because the presumption is the grid's down. You're desperate. You may not have access to one. So I give them 10, 15, sometimes 20 different ways to treat something. So it's more practical.
Like the activated charcoal, that comes in real handy if you wind up envenomated or even, or in one way or the other.
You know what else it does? It removes 80% of the radiation from your body. Activated charcoal.
We need to get some of that.
I probably do. Well, we actually have some, but we can get more.
We have the
keep a lot of it.
We have potassium iodide. We have a lot of that.
Iodide, but we also have
potassium iodine is different. Potassium iodine doesn't affect radiation. What it does is it protects the thyroid. Because radioactive elements damage the thyroid. They go progressively to it. And so it blocks the uptake of radioactive iodine into the thyroid, especially important for kids more than even adults, but everyone using it, But that's another way. Like, as a functional medicine doctor, when I treat hypothyroidism, I use armor thyroid or NP thyroid, which are natural thyroids. I don't use synthroid, which is synthetic thyroid. And all the endocrinology doctors always, oh, no, I don't like that. They try to change them back. Now, if you use synthetic thyroid, it's only T4, and it's not active. And you have to, the number means the number of iodines attached to the molecule. T4 is inactive. It has to go out to the body, and one of those iodines has to be cleaved off by an enzyme that's dependent on selenium. And so if you don't convert it, it's not active. So people, when they check thyroids, I check a full panel. I check T3 free and total, TSH, T4, and anti-thyroid antibodies, and reverse T3. And I find a ton of people with low thyroid. But so I put them immediately on kelp, which is iodine. And I like kelp because it's organic, and it also has all the essential amino acids your body needs to produce everything. Essential amino acids is stuff you have to get in your diet.
Yeah.
Your body can make a lot of amino acids. Those are the non-essential ones, but the essential ones can only be obtained in a diet. It was interesting. The American Indians did it right. In the far west, they had the three sisters. Somehow I don't know how they figured it out, but they combined squash, beans, and corn. Yeah. And the squash would shade the base of the plant. The beans would climb up the corn, but all three of those gave them every essential amino acid they needed.
Incredible.
It is incredible. I don't know how that came about, but it was a great idea. But anyway, getting back to the thyroid. So I put all my patients on kelp, and also pregnant patients I put on iodine. There was a guy named Jorge Flechas. He was an American doctor from South Carolina. Fascinating work on iodine. We know for a fact that iodine deficiency causes cretinism, severe mental retardation. They're deformed. They die. They only live a few years.
Wow.
Because brain development, iodine is essential for brain development and the development of the central nervous system. So I always said to pediatricians and obstetricians, why don't you give this to pregnant women? Oh, no, we don't do that. Why? Jorge Fleshes studied it. And guess what happens when you provide iodine to a pregnant woman? The IQ goes up 20 points on average.
Of the woman or the baby?
The baby's IQ.
Yeah, the baby. Okay.
Yeah. But that's how important it is. And you could do it, more as they're growing too. It helps them. It helps them as they're growing too. Iodine's great for kids. Has no downside at all. Why the hell aren't pediatricians, telling them, or obstetricians saying, you got to do this, take it with them. In Japan, they have, American doctors are afraid of iodine. I don't know why. In Japan, the average iodine intake is 22 milligrams, because they eat a lot of seafood. It has a lot of iodine in it. Consequently, when you have high iodine levels, you have no cystic disease, no fibrocystic disease, no polycystic ovaries. All of that goes away. It's all breast cysts. It's all iodine deficiency. And there's no breast cancer in Japan either. They have the lowest rate in the world because of that. And it's nothing genetic, because when Japanese migrate to the United States, their breast cancer rates are the same as American women.
Wow.
When they adopt the American diet. Right.
Yeah.
So, that kind of stuff drives me crazy. I'm always bringing this up at medical meetings, and they just, like I said, they're polite to me, but okay, thank you, Dr. LaGuardia. And my wife says, why do you bother? I said, I got to tell them. Someone's got to tell them, So I put all patients on selenium to make sure they convert the the thyroid, and I give them the kelp. And it has no downside to it. Selenium is also an antioxidant mineral. It helps support your immune system.
Supplements, kelp and the selenium?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the kelp is really a food. But you can buy them on Amazon. Selenium is available in every pharmacy. It's in the vitamin section. It's always 200 micrograms. It's always the same dose.
I think I've only seen kelp in the form of like chips at Asian grocery store we used to go to.
I think you get like kelp capsules. And
stuff.
Yeah. It comes in capsules. Right.
At this point, I want to just in case we have people listening whose heads are spinning right now, because you throw a lot of stuff out there. I mean, you clearly really educated yourself deeply with this stuff. And the average
40 years worth of reading.
40 years, man. And you're a voracious, far more than me, much more voracious reader than I am. Yeah. But your book, so you touch on this information in your book, but it's not a hard read.
No.
It's an entertaining
read. It's a thick read. Yeah. It's a big read, but you go through some of this stuff, but then you explain, now here's how to get this nutrient. Here's what you need to eat or ingest to make sure you have these nutrients. So it's not a book that you're going to be going, it's like, what is he talking about? Well, I don't even know what and then you get sick of it. I read through several chapters. And I found that, yes, you give the information, and some of that information is going to be above our heads. But when it gets down to the practical, here's how to get that into your body, you're real simple on there. The instructions are easy.
You've written it in layman's terms for people that don't understand, and it's very knowledgeable. It's written in a way that pretty much any adult can understand it, and it's entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to keep it humorous.
You do have a sense of humor. Yes, for sure, yes.
There's this one. I'm going to bring it up.
There are some photos in there too.
There's a part in the book that talks about, look, if I can't remember what the specific thing was, but if this happens to you, you're pretty much a goner.
He has a whole section, a chapter of when to kiss your ass goodbye. When to kiss your ass goodbye.
Well, yeah, because you got to be practical. If you're in a grid down situation and you have a massive heart attack or a stroke, time to kiss your ass goodbye, or nothing I could do is going to help you, and you got to be practical about people. But throughout all my writing, I try to, I could easily lose people in jargon and medical terms. What's the point? I want to help them. I want to educate them. So I write it on a level where you don't need any medical knowledge. I have to give a shameless plug to my Substack too. I write articles on Substack every week called The Medical Underground. And I've been doing that for almost 2.5 years. And so there's a huge body of articles on there. And it's the same thing. Each article, sometimes at 30 or 40 pages, but they're very light and it's full of charts and visual graphics for people to look at and stuff. But my whole goal is to educate people on that subject. So each week I say, okay, we're taking a deep dive. Last week I did molecular hydrogen. This week I'm actually doing cortisol. And every week I go into something on there. So if your readers are interested, they go to Substack under Medical Underground. That's me.
If you will shoot us that link, if you'll email that to me, we will make sure to add that on
under
this episode so that people can just click on it and join you.
Yep.
Right. And being practical, that brought to mind something that I've kind of been thinking about since I picked up this book and started going through it. The stuff you talk about, people will understand it better if they will take 5 minutes, take your earbuds out, turn off it, and just sit and think, what if I didn't have an electrical grid and electricity, and I can't just flip a switch and turn on a light. I can't just, when I have a headache, take something, because eventually you're going to run out of everything.
Yeah.
Right.
I can't just, call the doctor and go tomorrow when I have a problem. What are you going to do then?
What if you're stuck at home for weeks on end?
And I think most people don't take this stuff very seriously because they don't stop for a minute and think what it takes for us to have all these conveniences.
Right.
And how fragile.
Yeah. And one of the things they don't realize is you take a conventional doctor, he's wortharmless in a grid down situation. He doesn't know the stuff I'm talking about. Right. Without pharmacy and hospitals and testing and lab tests and, radiology and everything, they're not going to know anything that I'm talking about, what to do for you. They'll say, try to find medicine somewhere.
Yeah.
What else can they do? I'm not putting them down. They just don't know this stuff,
What I'd rather have in a grid down situation is somebody that knows how to go out in the woods and say, okay, this plant does this, and this.
Right.
This plant's okay. Don't touch this plant.
Right.
If you take the bark off of this tree over here, grind it up, soak it in some alcohol for a while, you're going to get this tea, and you can use it for this. That's who's going to help you survive in a situation where you don't have the electrical grid anymore. You don't have hospitals running anymore. You don't have an ambulance that's going to come pick you up and take you somewhere to somebody that's got all this equipment to help them out.
Also, I want to bring up that for Doc's books, you really want the print editions of the books. Because when the poop hits the fan, that ebook is going to do you no good whatsoever.
Right. You'll say, God, shit, what did I do?
We've got many books on various aspects of prepping, and they're all print books.
Absolutely.
So that, when it really happens, we can open a book and read it.
Yeah, it's common sense, because eventually that iPad's going to run out of battery power.
Exactly.
Right.
But Doc, I'd like to carry on with that thought. I'm going to kind of jump around on my notes here for a minute here. But other things that people don't consider, because as I was reading through several of your chapters and stuff, again, it's just things people kind of take for granted because we live in the type of system that we do. But there are things that without this system, you're in deep crap when it happens. Things like allergies, allergic reactions to things. Talk a little bit about that. What you have regular allergic reactions. You can just take something or give yourself a shot, take a pill, something. But when you don't have that,
when you run out of EpiPens,
right. Yeah, I mean, there is vitamin C actually believe it or not, is a pretty strong antihistamine, and so it's a little known fact. But if you load yourself up with vitamin C, but I tell patients ahead of time at the end of the Bible Alternative Medicine, the Doomsday Book of Medicine, I've got a how to make your own medicine chest. And there are a list.
Oh, he has got a nice long list of
Yeah, it's a
things.
long
that's
list
great.
of things that you can do and you can find in there, and the different things that'll work for all the different problems you have. And some of them are practical things. Load up on Benadryl, load up on Tylenol, load up on cheap things that have multiple uses. And so there's a lot of things you can do ahead of time. You can buy a huge bottle of Benadryl. It's going to last you for years. That'll treat a lot of different situations. So there's a lot of things you can do. You're not going to get an EpiPen, like Angela said. What are you going to do? There's certain things you just can't fix. But you can avoid a lot of things and stuff. And, and I talk about using treatment for snake bites, scorpion bites, bee stings.
Well, that was my next thing is bites, insects, snake, animals, and humans.
Right.
Hey, when's the last time I bit you?
Don't even tell her.
Well, if grid goes down about 3 days, people are not going to have food.
Right.
Because your just-in-time delivery system that we all function there, that make sure that our store shelves is going to go down. So then people are going to come out looking for what they don't have.
Water is another one.
Water, that's true. Water's another one.
You only live 3 days without water. 3 weeks without food, 3 minutes without air. Rule of threes.
And we already have a society where if people don't like what you think or stand for, they feel justified in violence.
Right.
So what happens when they're hungry and you got food?
Well, that's the thing. It's what do they call them? The marauders that'll
run
around and try to break into your house and steal what you have. Yeah.
That's why part of prepping is you have to arm yourself.
Security.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're crazy not to do that because you could prep all you want. They'll just take it from you.
Yeah.
They're also called socialists.
The funny thing is,
right. They do.
The funny thing is, and I've known, I've got a lot of friends in this kind of thing. But a lot of people, as soon as you start talking prepping, they immediately go to I got this many guns and I got all this ammo. It's like, great. How much food you got?
Right.
Water?
How much water do you have? Right. Right. You'll trade all those guns for a bottle of water when you're dying of thirst.
Yeah. If you don't have a way, and what happens if that food goes bad? Do you have a way to grow your own food? Do you have a way to go out and get your own food? Have you trained and practiced how to go out and get your own food?
Right.
Gosh, I don't practice foraging nearly enough. I'm really fascinated by the art of foraging, and I just don't do it enough to where I would feel comfortable doing it. But
yeah, well, there was a bunch of books written by a guy named Yule Gibbons in the 60s that are still to this day the greatest foraging books ever. He wrote 3 or 4 of them, and they're just fabulous. He was way ahead of his time. There's a ton of food to be had if you know what you're growing,
if you know what you're looking
for,
or
are looking for. I also grow a lot of foods that I hope people won't recognize. I grow like pawpaw and a lot of gummy berry and Siberian pea shrubs and sea buckthorn and things that people wouldn't know are food. Jerusalem artichokes. That's a great one.
Jerusalem artichokes, huh?
Yeah, Jerusalem artichokes.
Mm-hmm.
It's got nothing to do with artichokes.
Those are that's
it's a sunflower. It's a sunflower.
Really?
But it's got an edible bulb to it.
That's right.
The name came about from Italian immigrants. They were calling it, the word in Italian for sunflower is girasole. Gira means turn, sole to the sun, because all day, as you know, sunflowers turn their face towards the sun to max it out. And so when Italian immigrants were calling it that, this is an American plant, the other settlers thought, oh, Jerusalem, not Jerusalem. And I don't know why they thought it was an artichoke, but it's got nothing to do with that. But that's a great food source that you could put in the ground, and very prolific. I have them all over my farm in different spots, and they grow.
What do they taste like?
They call them farty chokes. They give you a lot of gas.
Okay, now wait a minute.
Yeah,
Sounding a little less appetizing here.
I'm not exactly a big fan of the taste. It's okay. It's starchy, but
it's probably very nutritious.
Yes, it contains inulin, and so it's a carbohydrate that doesn't spike your blood sugar. It's good for you. And but my point was, you have to have food sources that people don't recognize. As well. If the worst case scenario, if things are down and your house has been pillaged, at least you have some
You got
food
the-
sources out there
yeah.
that no one recognizes. You know?
Exactly.
Now you have water sources on your property. How many
Yes.
how many ponds do you have?
5. They were
5 ponds. See?
all man-made. I made them all.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah,
We
my
tried
best
to
friend.
get one put in here, but we can't get a pond put in. We do have alternative
It's just rock.
source,
here,
but
yeah.
it's I
Oh.
think
Well-
6 inches below the ground. It's just pure rock because we're right on top of the
and
mountain.
being on top of the mountain, not a lot of water flows down
Right,
to us.
right,
So,
right.
you know.
I my property there's wetlands right around it,
Oh,
and
nice.
so
Oh, okay.
yeah, I dig a hole and it fills in. So I have one of my best friends has his excavator back there, and we'll dig a 15-foot or 18-foot pond deep, and wide, maybe 50 or 100 feet, and that's great because it becomes a huge source for wildlife.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
mean, oh my God, mud ponds are full of everything, and animals come all over the place there. And so you have your own food source, but you also have wildlife that you could hunt
You're
in a worst
bringing
case
stuff in.
scenario.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And we have neighbors who have ponds.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's nice to have neighbors that are of the same mindset as well. Plus,
Right.
one has ducks.
Yeah.
They do make gigantic eggs.
Yeah.
So other things that people again don't consider if they don't really stop and ask what if. And you mentioned this is food supply chain, medicines, IVs, hospitals, public services. Without all that, even your best doctor is about useless. I mean, they've got the knowledge,
Right.
but without the equipment and the system in place,
You can have all the knowledge you want. You don't have the tools. You can't do it.
Yeah.
the stuff that we consider minor right now, because all I got to do is hop in my car and run over to the
CVS.
no, what's the urgent care,
Yeah.
and get a little something and it goes away in a week and I'm good. That may not, if you don't have that though, that minor thing could be a life-threatening thing.
Yeah, that's why that's the purpose of the book. You could go to turn to any. I mean, I cover everything from head to toe, even psychiatric stuff, all kinds of different things in there.
Mhm.
With the idea that very thing, because the prepper books I was read before I wrote this were terrible. They would talk about snake bite, cold poison control. I mean, come on, that's the best. That's the best you can. And these are bestsellers. I mean, these books sell hundreds of thousands of copies, and they're advanced Merc manuals. That's all they are. They're first aid manuals. There's nothing else in there.
Yeah.
Well, like on our property, we have copperhead snakes and we've got timber rattlers. Now, if one bites you, either one of them, if I can get in the truck and get down to the hospital quick enough, I'm good to go.
Right.
But if we don't have that, if one of them bites you, you might do okay. You're going to be real uncomfortable for a while, and you may survive it. The other one,
right?
yeah, the copperhead, you can survive. That timber rattler, you're done. You just may as well try to make it to your family to say goodbye because you're not going to live through that.
What did you call that? If that happens to you,
it's your ass goodbye.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, nutrition is and again, this is something that looking at your book, I'm like, wow, yeah. So again, you hammer the get fit, get your nutrition in now. And this resonated with me because I was a firearms instructor. And one of the things that I've had to teach people is I don't care how good you are. You can stand here all day and hit the bullseye of a target foot. When you're in a gunfight, you immediately go to about 50% of your skill level right there and then because of the stress. So however good you think you are now, consider 50% of that. That's that's the level you're fighting at there, which is why training is so important. That's where I was getting at there. Nutrition, same thing. If you're eating bad stuff, living a sedentary lifestyle, you're weak, you don't have any, muscle mass, your bones are frail, whatever, and you're not doing anything about it. Once the grid goes down, that's your starting point.
Yeah, you're going to die fast.
Even the most healthy person who's eaten all the best stuff and is worked out and exercised, their nutrition levels are going to start dwindling as there are not these immediate options for nutrition, for eating and stuff.
Right.
And you're having to scale down what you can eat and what you can put in, not to mention the amount of work you're going to have to do just to keep things going around your household and stuff without all the modern conveniences. So when you start that decline, where do you want to start? You want to start at 100% or you want to start at 90%, 80%,
right. Right.
Well, the Doomsday Book of Medicine has a list of tons of supplements you can buy now that you'll have available later when the poop hits the fan. Yeah.
Those are the things that they're inexpensive. You can stockpile them. You don't need prescriptions for any of the stuff I talk about. You have to boost your immune system. I mean, that's key. And there's certain ways that the vitamins interact together. For example, do you know what alpha lipoic acid is?
Never heard it.
Alpha lipoic acid is an incredible substance. What it is, it's both fat and water soluble. So it crosses the blood-brain barrier, it crosses right into cells, it crosses immediately, it diffuses right through your whole body. And your body needs it because what it does is, there was a guy named Les Packer at the University of California. He did a lot of studies in this. He showed that since it's alpha lipoic acid is fat and water soluble, it regenerates on the fat soluble side CoQ10 and vitamin E, and on the water soluble side it regenerates glutathione and vitamin C, and they all regenerate each other, so it supercharges your immune system. So you can take alpha lipoic acid, and it's great for you. It also,
I'm gonna get out of the book because I can't spell that thing for nothing.
Yeah, it's alpha ALPHA, lipoic is LIPOIC, alpha lipoic acid. But 600 milligrams of that, I put people on it twice a day. It takes away their peripheral neuropathy with their diabetes. It helps a lot of things. And so I have a lot of my little tricks that I've formulated over the years that I give patients. I'll give you an example. Aphthous ulcers, these sores you get in your mouth, those shallow sores. Patients all the time suffer from that, and doctors give them doxycycline. It doesn't do shit, and it's a zinc deficiency. And so I give them zinc lozenges, and I've cured it every single time.
Wow.
So I was at a meeting, and a friend of mine, who was an endocrinologist, actually, he was from Syria. He had aphthous ulcers in his mouth his whole life. And he was talking about it to me, and I said, "Oh, it's a zinc deficiency." And I could tell he was like poo-pooing that. He goes, "Look, I've been to specialists in London, New York, all over the world. No one has been able to fix it." So I said, "Okay, I'll fix him." So I sent him a box of zinc lozenges. A month later, he calls me up and he goes, "Holy shit."
Wow.
He's like, took them, they were gone in 2 days. I said,
That's incredible.
It always works. Once again, it's a functional medicine point of view. Provide the body what it needs to store. Give the body collagen. That's why you should eat the skin of animals and stuff. You need all that. Collagen's great for you. And we used to get a lot of that because they were fermented foods and stuff. They would take bone broth and make that. They didn't waste the bones to animals. And bone broth is full of collagen. That made people very healthy. And collagen is the main structural protein in the body. You want your hair, your skin, your nails to be nice. You need zinc and collagen and vitamin C, because vitamin C activates collagen. But and so there's all those different things that people aren't aware of. But a lot of these diseases, I see people with psoriasis all the time. They come in, it's horrible. They've been a dermatologist, they can't fix them. I said, no. First of all, high dose zinc, and we have to give you all the fat soluble vitamins, as well as I use krill oil more than fish oil, even though they're both good. I like krill oil a little bit better because it crosses the blood-brain barrier, and it's red because it has astaxanthin in it. Astaxanthin is great. It's one of the most potent antioxidants we know. It's like 8,000 times stronger than vitamin C. And that comes from the food chain. And so as there's bacteria in the ocean, as it comes up, that's why salmon are red, lobsters are red, shrimp are red. It all has astaxanthin in it. Astaxanthin is great for you, and krill have a lot of it, and krill oil is full of it. So I take krill oil every day. So I get my, you want that omega-3, omega-6 in balance, because used to be we had more omega-3s in our diet than omega-6. Omega-6 is pro-inflammatory. Omega-3 is anti-inflammatory and stuff, and boosts your immune system, and the other one suppress. It's a balance there, and you need some omega-6, but not a lot. And now it's 20-1 American diet, omega-6 to omega-3. So people have inflammation, they've got psoriasis, they have food allergies, they have all this stuff, that they're suffering with that it can easily be treated. I mean, food allergies are simple. When you're a kid, don't follow your kid around with a spray can, cleaning every surface he comes in contact
Right.
with.
Yeah.
These mothers who are like, no, no, Johnny, no, no, don't, clean his face, wipe him, disinfect him. Or
Let
you
him
make
eat dirt.
right, let him eat dirt. Exactly right.
Yeah.
And you are exactly right. Every study shows the same thing. Ghetto kids are healthier as far as because of the poverty and the dirt and stuff than kids in suburbs, and farm kids are healthier than any of them because they're rolling around in animal, fecal matter and soil and dirt the way you should be, the way you should be when you're a kid. You should play outside. You should, climb a tree, be out in the sun all day, run around, drink
in the
out
woods all the time. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right. Drink out of a stream, do all the stuff. And we got away from all of that, and there's a consequence to it. So all these kids have parents are, spraying everything. They have allergies, eczema, asthma. They're devastated because their immune system never develops. It never had a chance to fight off these infections. Every time you fight off an infection, the memory of that infection is in your immune system. It knows it. And so it has antibodies. If it comes back, it's ready. And so it hits it again. And so if you're taking that away from your kids, you're screwing them. I know their intentions are good, but the outcomes are horrific. And how many? I'm sure you see a lot of your son's friends with horrible allergies and asthma and all kinds of problems. It's so common, and it's getting worse
I hear
and worse.
from, our daughter and son-in-law. They have 3 children. The oldest one is 8. It's because they're in public school and they're not vaccinated. Both their parents used to be chefs, so they cook wholesome homegrown food. Really, really healthy. They're raising the kids healthy. Okay, our daughter might be a bit of a clean freak. Okay, but they're in public school and they're being exposed to all of these illnesses that these kids are coming down with because none of these kids are healthy anymore. They're all living on screens these days.
Right.
Well, and what did we do as soon as COVID hit? Start shoving antiseptic crap for your hands.
Right.
Everybody's having to
hand sanitizer.
Sanitize.
Sanitizing
your hands. Everybody's sanitizing your hands.
It was like the masks. I said to her,
don't get me started.
When the powers that be came out and they said, you're not wearing a mask. I said, it doesn't do anything. Why would I wear a mask? I said, don't you know the size of the virus is much smaller than the pores of the mask?
Exactly.
I said, it's like I tell them, it's just like trying to stop a mosquito with a chain link fence. I said, this is stupid. It's going right through it. Oh, no, it's not. I go, where do you guys get this stuff? I mean, look at the science, measure it.
No kidding.
I'm not making this stuff up. This is, it's all out there. I mean, how come you don't know this? I would say to them, they would get pissed at me.
Well, Doc, I'm gonna point out a couple things I just want you to touch on, just some things that jumped out at me. As a former beekeeper, because I developed quite the allergy to my bees, honey.
Yeah, great stuff.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, a whole chapter on honey. Honey's great for you. Honey is fabulous. There's a lot of natural things that are fabulous. Eggs are nature's multivitamin. There's everything you need in eggs. You need choline for brain development. You need healthy fats. Honey is full of great stuff. And I always point out to patients, honey never goes bad. Why is that? Because it kills everything. Viruses, bacteria, fungi, nothing can live in honey. It releases hydrogen peroxide, and it's just beautiful for it. I use a lot of honey for wound care. And not just Manuka. I use the Manuka. I mean, I use the regular any table honey that you have. There's a lot of adulterated honeys, but I'm out in the country here in Connecticut, and I have a lot of patients who are beekeepers, so they constantly bring me honey. But it's great stuff for you, and it has no downside.
You just slap it on a wound and throw a Band-Aid on there? Is that how?
Yep, exactly. And what you do is you change it. Honey draws out fluid, so it keeps the wound wet. It keeps it from being infected, and it provides nutrients that heal the wound. So what you do is you put 2 4x4s over it. When the outer one's wet, you change it. Put more honey on and reapply it. I've sent people to wound clinics where they have $1,500 salves that don't work, and my patients, they go back and I could put them on honey. They go back 3 months later. The guy says, "Oh, I see my treatment worked." I go, "No, Dr. LaGuardia gave me honey."
I can't even remember what it was that I had. I had something going on with my skin somewhere. It just wouldn't heal. And then you mentioned, well, try honey, and I slapped some honey on there. Like within about 2 or 3 days, it was done.
Recently, our dog, we're not sure where Tank. He's got a low IQ. He had it like size of a marble on top of his head, not growing any hair, and he was all bloody and pussy and everything.
He hit it.
And we took up some gloves and slathered some honey on there.
Yeah.
Of course, you can't put a Band-Aid on a dog's head. I tell you what, a couple days later, it was just a bald spot, and it's grown back since then. But yeah, the honey worked like thank you.
For the horses, my wife uses a silver spray with honey. It's got elemental silver in it, which kills a lot of stuff too. But betadine comes in really handy. I mean, for killing all kinds of infections. They still use it in the hospital because it kills everything on the surface. So I use a lot of betadine. I advise that in my books as well for patients. That's the kind of thing you want to stockpile. A dozen bottles of betadine, it doesn't go bad. You could use it for iodine if you need iodine, and you can use it for all kinds of wound, disinfect every wound. It doesn't hurt anything.
You should see the list of things that I've written down.
She's over there scribbling.
Oh,
Yeah.
We haven't had betadine in, I haven't seen that in years. So yeah, definitely need to
we have a bottle around somewhere, but
cheap as hell, and it's great.
Yeah.
Again, Doomsday Book of Medicine.
Yep.
That's in the prepping world. That's a cult classic now, right?
Yeah. It's actually becomes it's widely, people widely recognize it as the book to have.
Yeah.
That's why I want you to share this podcast with all your followers.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Get them on the Writers Weekly podcast list. There you go. You mentioned having a little experience with planting wild rice that I found kind of humorous.
Yeah, it was a disaster. I was at my old house, actually 2 houses ago. I had a 69-acre spread. It was nice, and there was a big pond on it, and I thought, okay, I'm going to plant wild rice. I love wild rice, and I thought it'd be a good prepping thing to have there, And when I got it, was like a 5-foot tall bag of it. And on the bag, there's actually a warning. This is not spoiled. It always smells like this. I opened the bag and I was like, whoa, this smells horrible. But, I said, oh, well, let me find. So I took it. Unfortunately, I didn't wear gloves. And I took it and I broadcasted it along the shallow parts of the stream in the swampy area. All day I was out there doing this. I come back home. I said, oh man, I gotta wash my hands. I could not get that smell off my hands. I mean, I put gasoline. I put gasoline on it. But everything. I had to wear gloves all week at the office for a week or two. It took that long to go away. I mean, I would put my hand out to my face and go, "Oh my god."
So is it like a fermented type thing, or is it like farty jokes, farty rice?
Yeah. It's just, I don't know what is. It's some chemical in the rice, the seed. Well, it's the rice that makes it smell. I was shocked.
Ugh.
Okay, I got 2 more things to touch on, and I think we probably want to wrap it because we're about an hour and a half here. Anxiety and depression when there are no meds. And you're grid down. Yeah,
that's a tougher one because there's not many. There's ashwagandha, and there's a lot of kava and a lot of different things you can take. L-theanine works good for that. And so, but I find that most people with anxiety and depression need, at the very least, B complex, because there's some kind of B vitamin deficiency somewhere along the line in them. Do you know what MTHFR mutations are?
No.
MTHFR is not the abbreviation you think it is, but it's
it sure sounds like it.
It sure sounds like it, right? It's actually it's the most common mutation, a genetic mutation in Americans. 42% of Americans have this mutation, and what it means is you can't process B vitamins. B vitamins are toxic for you because it's the intermediaries. It forms what's called homocysteine, and homocysteine. I test all my patients with heart problems with this, and almost all of them have it. Homocysteine damages the blood vessels and the heart. Doctors know that, but they never test for MTHFR, and it's so easily treated because all you do is take methylated B complex. They methylate the vitamins ahead of time so that you don't skip that step. And so whenever I put patients on it, if I haven't tested them, I just say, just take the methylated one. And so if they have anxiety and problems, I make sure they get all the fat-soluble vitamins, but especially krill oil, because it soothes the brain. Magnesium works great for that as well, and the B vitamins. And that combination works pretty good. And then you could supplement it with ashwagandha or kava kava or valerian root, anything else you want to take with that, if you need it. But I find that most of the time, it's not immediate. A lot of these things, it took you your whole life to deplete your body of these things. You can't take 2 pills and go, shit, I don't feel better yet. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's going to take a few months.
Your body has to absorb over time.
Right.
Sure.
Your body has to build up its stores of it and get back to it. But I tell you, it's dramatic, the changes in people. And they go, God, that's a simple thing. It gives you energy as well. I mean, chronic fatigue is a epidemic. Besides, I always say loneliness is even worse. We are the most lonely society in the world. People are isolated and lonely as hell.
Especially young people
we could probably use a good grid down situation for about a month or two to get everyone off their screens.
Right, exactly. These kids,
we actually have to talk to each other. Yeah.
Right. These kids, you talk to guys when you pass each other, how you doing? You kind of acknowledge each other. You don't really care how they're doing it, and it doesn't initiate a whole conversation. You say that to a 22-year-old, they don't know why you're asking them.
Yeah. You're about to hold them up or something.
Right. They have no social skills. They don't know. I mean, I look at them, I'm like, you're living your whole friggin' life in your basement. You're on Pornhub all night and you're playing video games all day. You haven't had a real girl your whole life. You haven't had a relationship. You have no friends except you call friends people online. And you're missing one of the greatest joys in life, friendship.
Being with people. Yeah.
What is greater than family and friends? I mean,
a true Italian right there.
Right. I was going to say I'm Italian. I come from a huge family. My cousins are like brothers to me. We're very close. And I have friends from medical school. I'm going down. One of them's birthday is next weekend. I'm going to surprise them in Florida. But these are great. I mean, all these guys, 45 years, 48 years, we're like brothers. But it's just nothing is more tonic for your soul than to be with friends and have a belly laugh. And we tell the same stories every year and we laugh our asses off. We just have so much. We love each other. We kiss and we hug when we see each other because we truly. I mean, you let your hair down. Who cares? My wife is always amazed because she goes, "You're so brutal to each other." I turn to my friend Joe, who's one of my best friends in the world. We're on the beach and I go, "Hey Joe, every time I want to feel good about myself, I look at you." He's like screw you. She goes, "Why are you guys so mean to each other?" I said, "That's a guy thing. We love each other. If we ignore each other, we don't like the guy if we ignore him." But I mean, that's what these kids are missing. That they have no social life. I mean, we had parties and beach parties and going out to clubs at night. It was always a great social life growing. I grew up in the 60s and 70s. It was wild. It was great.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for them. They have nothing. That's why half of them are depressed.
Dating robots.
Oh my God! No, I'm like, get off your phone, right? It's like,
well, and everyone's so afraid of getting their feelings hurt, and insulting or offending people and everything. It's like, just get over it.
I mean, the mental illness in this generation of people younger than 40, probably 35, maybe, it's unbelievable. Every patient I see, they're ADD, anxiety, depression, bipolar, not to mention the sexual deviations that are endless. It's like, how could one generation all of a sudden become, 30% gay? Come on. Are you kidding me?
These are the people that are going to be running our government and society in another, 10, 15 years.
Right. They can't handle anything. Everything throws them into a tailspin. Need a safe place. Suck it up, Buttercup. Come on, get over this.
Exactly.
I mean, when I grew up, all of our teachers and our parents were World War II vets and Korean War vets. Our teachers at public school would hit us. There was no They didn't take
That's
it.
right.
They didn't take any shit. Yeah, go home and tell your parent. We went to Valley Forge. The only trip we ever had in grammar school. We go to Valley Forge. My teacher's out. We're on the bus. We're talking on the bus. We had the psycho teacher there who says, "No, now he's punishes us." I never saw Valley Forge. He made 6 of us stand next to the bus all day and do calisthenics.
Oh my God.
Well, I get home. I
Wow.
told my mother. She smacked me. She goes, "What'd you do?"
What'd you do? Yep, that was my
was-
parents, boy.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not going in to yell at the teacher. They're not going to do any of that.
Nope. If I came home and said I got, some teacher did something, it's like, well, what did you do to get? It's like, do I ever get a break here? Yeah.
Right. Right. But it made you normal. It's like, okay, you lose. Sometimes you lose. Well, suck it up.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes bad things happen. Get back up and keep moving forward. And that's part of survival right there.
That's the part of character. That builds character. Yeah. It's not how many times you get knocked down. It's how many times you get up.
Yeah.
I always tell patients that you got to suck this up. You got to toughen up. What's wrong with you?
You got to accept you're going to have some bad shit happen to you in life, and you just got to keep going.
Yeah.
But some of these in this new generation, I don't know how they're going to manage, a grid down situation because they're so.
The suicide rate will be astronomical. Astronomical.
The population problem will cure itself. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Doc, if I'm correct, you at least this book you wrote and had published elsewhere, and you brought it to us. Am I correct?
Yes.
So, how has your success with this book been doing since then?
Well, first of all, the publishing world is full of thieves and scamsters. Not you guys. No, not you guys. You guys I love. You guys I love. I tell everyone, Book Locker.
No, we've been telling everyone it's full of thieves and scammers.
Right.
But it's unbelievable. It's funny because I'll get these calls in the office and I say some book representative wants to talk to you. He says, "Oh, I loved your book, blah, blah, blah. I think I can get you movie rights." I burst out laughing. I go, movie rights?
On a how-to?
Yeah.
I go, clearly you haven't read my book, and I hang up on them. It's just, these other scams. We have a book show coming up. We want to get you in brick and mortar stores. Give us $5,000 and we'll represent you at this book fair in Toronto or whatever. Endless scams. And I had a publishing company that sucked. They were just terrible. And I had a second one that sucked. And then I stumbled across you guys. And it's been wonderful. You guys did a great job. That's why I gave you all 3 of my books to handle, and I've been nothing but very satisfied with you.
And we love working with you. I think his wife's calling.
It looks like you're getting pulled away.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is a good time to wrap up anyway. So
my wife is starving. She told me at 3:00 she was starving.
No.
Tell her I'm starving.
Say hi,
Thanks for loaning them to us. Doc, we really appreciate you coming on board. The book is called Doomsday Book of Medicine.
We're going to put a link to all of Doc's books underneath this episode on WritersWeekly.com/podcast.
Yeah, and you can find my Substack page at medicalunderground.substack.com. And that'll bring you right to it. It's a free newsletter. I like better if you become a paid subscriber, but it's every week, and it provides this type of content every week. I do a different subject, like I said, deep dive, and teach you all about it.
Awesome. We will put a link to that too. And I'm also a Substack user.
And this is a book that's not only entertaining and interesting, it could save your life. So this is well worth, getting and putting somewhere that you're going to find it if the world turns upside down.
That's right.
Doc, I'm not going to leave your wife waiting any longer because I know what that does. So
happy wife.
Happy wife, happy life.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank
everybody,
you.
We will see you next time on the Writers Weekly podcast. Thank you.
Thanks, Doc.
All right, thank you. All right, take care. All right, ciao.
You too.